and ratings, the paper with lyrics that go up your brain. We're here to bring truth, celebrate life, tell stories of old. Share knowledge is timeless. Our hearts are soundless, true power we found is surrender to love. With love be surrounded. This is our time. I found a moment, so turn to the sky. Look with our hearts, see through the disguise. Join hands, it's for people together we rise. Love, nothing's climate can change. Dance to the sun and pray for the rain. This is our land, we stand to protect. The record that's playing, you'll never forget. Paint murals of fire, burn in the sky. Can see the same stars that burn in your eyes. One person, cause the seas to rise. The water to a dry, I'll bring hope to someone's eyes. A movement is rising like the sea. People will change the world, it's time to plant the seeds. It's time to plant the seeds. The song, it makes you wanna sing along. It's not a record in my soul. You're the one to know. The song, it makes you wanna sing along. It's not a record in my soul. You're the one I want to hold. It makes you want to sing along. 'Cause you're the record in my soul. You're the one I want to hold. It makes you want to hold.
Welcome to our Q&A/mosh pit. Wow, that was the most people we've ever had up here. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for dancing along with us. I want to introduce some of the folks that were in the film and worked on the film. First, I'll start with the people. Thank you. Sorry about that. Start with the people in the movie. First, all the way from the Rockaways, New York, the executive director of the Action Center, Mrs. Aria Doe. And a man who needs no introduction, the man who saved your public lands and ours from oil and gas drilling in Utah, the amazing our incredible staff. First, on our right, your left, Mr. Conrad Shaw, man about town. Our incredible producer you met earlier, Deia Schlosberg. Editor. And then you might know for many years or so, listening, Steve Lupte on camera and editing. No Gara. And our managing guest, David Cole. Our managing director, Kyle Kadot. This has been a two-show day. We started off with a raucous 400-seat house full of high school students. And we're so happy to be here with you. So we'll take some questions. Uh-oh.
This was covered in some breathing.
Yeah. So it is a little bit humid in here. It's good. This is like compensation for the drying. Go ahead. Who's got a question? There's a question. Okay. Stand up and tell the group. Thank you.
I read a couple days ago that the Chinese purchased a quarter of the Ecuadorian
it's a third of the Ecuadorian rainforest, which is pristine and up until this point untouched by industrialization. This is being auctioned, right, as you know, to the Chinese, and I think that's on the way. We're all reeling from this news up here. I want to also ask Deia to perhaps answer some of this, because she spent a very, very long time, much longer than me in the Amazon. But we are working with Amazon Watch. That's one of our partners. There's the Chaikuni Institute and Alliance Arcana and these indigenous environmental monitors. We hope to continue to support them with this work in whatever ways we can. But we're all kind of scrambling right now, trying to figure out how to react and how to respond to that. But here, do you want to speak to this a little?
Yeah, we also just heard that a third of the Ecuadorian rainforest is basically on the auction block. Right now, the Ecuadorian government is like courting up Chinese markets. Sariaku is actually right in the center of the block that's up for auction. I think the most important thing we can do right now is just stay informed and be ready to help where needed.
All right, next question. For Tim and for Aria, perhaps. Someone's pointing. My friend has a question. She's whispering. Go ahead. Over there. What's hiding? Go ahead. Raise your hand. This is the quietest group of community activists I've ever seen. What? Okay, who?
You're asking questions.
Oh, okay, they're in the back. Go ahead, sir. Yes, you, sir. There's a person. What's that?
All I said was send Tim to the auction. I'm on probation. I still can't leave the country.
Here's a question down front.
So obviously the film is kind of tracing your.
So the film is tracing your shift from grief and this sort of like paralyzing fear to hope and motivation. Would you say that you experienced that while you were filming, or did you know that you wanted to? Did that happen before and then was a film? Does that make sense? That question?
You know, I think every person dealing with the fossil fuel industry goes through this whole huge range of emotions. And one of the things that we've talked about in our conversations, especially the conversation I had with Tim in 2013, was this sense that it wasn't emotional enough what we were talking about in our climate discussion, you know? And at least not in the major media, you know? I really have to bring up one of the most emotional writers on the whole issue of the environment, your own Terry Tempest Williams. She's refusing to stand up. You can mob her on the hallway. So thank you, Terry, for that. And so I think what we're trying to do here is go through that emotion. And no, I had no idea, you know, what was in store. And that this journey is one of those that is, you know, as a reporter, I can't withhold information. It's sort of unethical not to say, you know, okay, 2 degrees is too high, we're already at 2 degrees. And it's really difficult. So what do you do at that point? And I think we've all been grappling with that. So I want to pass the mic to Tim and Ari to expand upon that. Oh, you have a mic.
Yeah, I mean, that has been a lot of the focus of my work, and I think a big part of what empowered me initially to take the action that I did at the BLM auction was going through that grief process and sort of letting go of a lot of what I was carrying, and then feeling much more empowered to take that action. And I think what I didn't realize at the time was that wasn't the end of the process, that there was still more grief, that there were still more losses to deal with, and that it was a continual cycle that has sort of gotten faster and faster. You know, when that first hit me, that period of grief was like 6 months long, where I just sort of went into a very dark place of grappling with what it meant to be too late to stop climate change. And some of the folks, you know, in this room here, like John Gregory back there, were part of my community that was going through that grieving process with me at the time. You know, and then I sort of went into a big action period for several years after that with peaceful uprising with a lot of the other folks that are in the room. And I think that cycle has gotten quicker now to the point where the grieving is shorter periods, and the action is sort of less detached from the grieving. That they're almost going hand in hand, and that's what I was trying to express about kind of carrying the grief with me, that I'm sort of constantly in that process now of both grieving and being empowered to take action at the same time.
Yeah, and for us in the Rockaways, when Sandy hit, we had to adopt a motto of act now and cry later. It was likened to you're traveling with your whole family and you have an accident and you lose a couple of family members, but you got 5 more that are depending on you to be strong to pull them through, or you're going to lose more members. So we had to act then, and acting then meant to keep our babies from having to drink out of fire hydrants, and getting sores and diseases and different things we didn't know why they were coming, and to keep residents who were citizens of the United States from being hungry, from having to scavenge in garbage cans, from seeing trucks of government officials who were supposed to be helping others and were tripping over themselves in other communities, but for some reason they were afraid to come to ours or did not come to ours. You couldn't beat your head up against the sand and be mad and be angry. That would have taken away the energy that we needed to supply love and support and resilience. And through that, we learned that together, we could face anything that hit us. And I think that's one of the lessons of Josh's beautiful movie, and I see it more as a movement, because each one of us, each one of you in this room should have seen that you can help in this movement. You don't have to be Obama and write a strike of a pen and just do away with everything that has to do with the climate. You can give a bucket of water. You can help make sure that kids in Africa can learn and can read because of solar energy. You can tell a person next to you when you go home that there is hope in the middle of disaster, and you can treat this as you would treat your sick child. If you saw your child and they were sick, no matter what diagnosis you got, you'll move heaven and earth to make them better. We've handed our children this world, and I apologize to them, but then we have to do everything we can to make it better. And every one of you in this room can do the same.
Take another question. In the back there, yes. Yes, that's you? That's right.
Yeah, it's more of a comment. I was really moved by when you were interviewing all the scientists, and I've seen that kind of thing that in many documentaries, and then you just stayed on their faces, and the grief and the sadness just really, I've never seen that before, and I'm assuming you all did that as an editorial choice, but it's just, I just want to say that it was just really, really powerful.
Thank you.
And yeah.
Well, in doing those interviews, you step out. I mean, we would step out and just be like, oh my God, I can't, get up the next day. And I think that's part of what we're talking about here, right? And, our ambition was kind of to make the whole climate movie in the first 35 minutes and then go to the next part of it, I believe in the power of catharsis. I believe that we go through it. And if we allow ourselves to have that emotion, then the joy is on the other side as well as the sadness. Those of you who got up and danced with us just now, that feeling is probably still in your body somewhere. That's the movement that we're talking about. And I think that you see this sort of tennis match in the intellectual community about climate change, where it's like, we're so screwed, we can win, we're so screwed, we can win, we're so screwed, we can win. And you're just going back and forth like this over and over again. And I think that, the conclusion that I came up with is that it's both. It's both. What?
Cat videos.
Cat videos are the answer, clearly. No, but the idea that you have to go through it. You can't suppress either side of it. If you do that, you're sort of squashing it. You know what I'm saying? And for me, the witnessing this incredible group of people, this is the third film. I think about it as the Return of the Jedi, and these are the Jedi right here. You know what I mean? The idea, and all of those people, and so that's the exciting piece of life, right? But at the same time, like I said, you just can't pull your punches. But I want to tell you just one briefly thing. You see our shirts, the Let Go and Love. That's the tour that we're about to go on, the Let Go and Love tour. It's a 100-city tour that we're embarking on right now. Salt Lake City is city number 2. We're going to Vernal and we're going to Moab on the 1st and 2nd of this month, next month, February 1st and 2nd. And the point of that tour is to hit 100 cities in the United States that are currently battling the fossil fuel industry at their core, right? So we know there's a transition happening in America right now, and it's not a good one. We're closing coal down. That's a good thing. It's happening because of the Clean Power Plan of Obama. However, there's a misconception in the government and written into that plan that frack gas is somehow better than coal. So we're switching not to renewable energy, but by and large to frack gas. And there are 300 new frack gas power plants being proposed for the United States, which means hundreds of thousands of miles of pipelines, compressor stations, to feed liquefied natural gas, frack gas terminals, to export frack gas to other countries. This means we're going to be fighting these fracking battles all over again if they get their way, right? So this is a dire situation. And you can, if they get their way to build all these power plants, you can forget about the 2-degree target in Paris. You can forget about 2.5. We're talking about building 40 more years of fossil fuel use into the system for electricity generation. We can't do that. You know, we have to get to renewable energy as soon as possible. So we're going on this 100-city tour. We have a Kickstarter campaign that's trying to fund it for $100,000. We're at about $12,000 right now. So you go home and just give us $5. It helps a lot. And we're going to the communities that are fighting desperately these pipelines. Like, for example, in upstate New York, the Constitution Pipeline, very ironically named. It's right next to the Bill of Rights waste pit. And, and we're trying to support those local fights with both grassroots events like this one tonight. Also, we're going to be providing renewable energy expertise at the individual level and at the community level. Ella Cho, who you see on the Great Wall, is actually writing plans with their supercomputers at NREL for all those communities to go renewable instead of doing the frack gas power plant or the pipeline. And that's an amazing contribution, but we need to bring those to the towns where we're going and rally the people around those plans. So please do get involved. If you got one of those programs, you got one of those little cards, fill out the card and check the boxes that you're interested in. If you want renewable energy for yourself, if you want renewable energy for your community, if you want help organizing against these pipelines, please turn in those cards at the back. We're going to have a place to fill them in, and your big signs in the inside of the program that say "I'm fighting for," fill something in there. We had some great answers yesterday. We're going to take your picture in the lobby and post those. I'm fighting for music. I'm fighting for, somebody wrote yesterday, pollinators. Bees. Kind of amazing. So come up with something creative, put that in there, and we'd love to take your picture and share it. In the back, sir.
Yeah, so I've read a little bit about the idea of a workers' super fund, and as you're mentioning going to Vernal and some of the other cities in Utah, I'm wondering if you've heard of any other programs or policies that help the workers transition.
It's a great question that I don't know the answer to. Does anyone in the house know an answer to that question? Tim does, of course.
Well, the Workers Superfund and some other ideas like that are first trying to kind of shore up the pensions of those people that are working in those industries, because even before the coal industry started dying as it's now doing, they first killed off their unions and de-unionized a lot of their workers, which means that their retirement is no longer as protected. So I think a big part of the insecurity and like why they're able to convince all their workers to come out to the EPA hearing that happened here in Salt Lake a couple days ago, where the coal companies bust everybody out from Carbon and Emery counties, is threatening their own workers. That, you know, if our company goes under, your retirement savings are gone. Like your pension isn't going to happen if our company goes under. So I think stepping in and guaranteeing those workers their pension liberates them from the oppression of that company, and separates their future from the future of that company and from the future of extracting fossil fuels. So that's a big step towards doing it. I mean, there's going to have to be a lot more creative solutions than that. There's going to have to be people that move, you know, like Vernal has been a boom and bust kind of town that attracts people with this get-rich-quick kind of scheme, and you know, it has waves of people coming in, which is like more than that area can actually sustain. So there's gonna have to be people moving around as well.
And just additionally, I made a short piece called Gas Work. It premiered on MSNBC. It's open and free to the public. I think it's gasworkfilm.com. It's 50 minutes long, it's about an hour long. It's all these workers in the gas industry who are blowing the whistle. And that's available for you to do screenings with it, you know, house parties, use it to, you know, show to whoever you want, workers and non-workers in the industry alike, to say you're not alone. And there's one solar company, at least that I know of, in like around Ithaca, New York, called Renovis, that's offering jobs to oil and gas workers on the spot if they quit. So I think that's a template maybe to go to some solar companies and say, you might be expanding, will you take some of this workforce? And there are guys who have been retrained by them and who switch sides and have careers that are not toxic, because a lot of these oil and gas workers are suffering incredible physical harm from working with those organic compounds, those endocrine disrupting chemicals, crazy diseases. This is the work that we did a lot with Theo Coburn, not far from here. So check out gasworkfilm.com. There's some work there to be done. Yes, sir.
Just recently, President Obama announced right here, Hill Air Force Base, a program for veterans to move into the rapidly expanding area of solar energy to get jobs and training.
Okay.
Why not expand it into oil and gas management?
I think that's a great idea, and exact what he's saying, that Obama is expanding a program for veterans to go into renewable energy. And why not expand the program? I think that's exactly the kind of thing that communities mobilized, working together should demand. Yes, sir.
Just a couple of comments for some local actions that are going on here.
Yes, actually, we wanted to announce, are there people with local actions? There are a couple, right? 1, 2, just come up here, come up here. Come up here, yes. Yeah, right now. Yeah, so, no, this is the most important part of today. How do you work here now on these things? So go ahead. It's interesting watching these
Yeah. Hey everyone! Don't fall asleep. So yeah, just on the tails of all of this, you know, we're all here together in community. Please don't be paralyzed. If there's anything this movie is showing you, is that we need to actually get out of that paralysis and come together as a community. I'm going to give you some great opportunities to do so. February 16th at 8 a.m. at the Salt Palace, because it's a lot bigger than the BLM office, because we were too many for their BLM office last time. We are going to protest the BLM oil and gas auction happening in this state. Kind of like something someone else has done before. It's not that original, but we're going to come in numbers, in very, very large numbers, and we need every single body there. So that is the first ask that I have. Please show up at 8 a.m., February 16th at the Salt Palace. You can check out the event with Elders Rising on Facebook, or come find me after. Secondly, and a little bit bigger than that, I'm going to ask all of you to clear a month of your summer. That's right. At least 2 weeks of your summer. At least a few days of your summer between mid-June to mid-July. The meat of that being the last week of June and the last week of July. We will be holding, the first week of July. Thank you. We will be holding a mass extended action on the Tavaputs Plateau, where the first commercial tar sands operation is trying to break ground, they say, this spring and summer. So please come join us. This is going to be a major escalation from years past. This is a continued resistance, and we are inviting everyone and anyone to come and stand their ground and stop this from happening with nonviolent civil disobedience and direct action. So please come and learn about it and ask me.
So some other things that are going on politically and in the U.S. Congress. Some of you may have seen last week that Congressman Bishop and Chaffetz and these guys released the draft of something that you should really know about. It's the Public Lands Initiative. It's been going on for 3 years. They've been waiting for it to come out, and it is breathtaking. The stuff that you were just talking about, the Book Cliffs Highway that now comes down just through Uintah County. Grand County has been standing up to it, not allowing it to be built so that they could pull all that tar sands and subsidize those costs to bring all that stuff down to the highway. That provision is in the Public Lands Initiative. It allows for the right of way for building that highway. We've got to stop this bill. It is an abomination. It is a fossil fuel development proposal. It builds giant energy zones out in Uintah County and in Carbon County and in Emery County and in San Juan County. They have not listened to the native voices down in San Juan County that have said, we want to protect these native lands. They have completely eliminated that choice. And instead the natives have abandoned the situation with Utah politicians. They said, we're not going to talk to you anymore. We're going to President Obama. We want to see Bears Ears as a national monument. And we need to get behind that. It's their voices that are being not heard. And there are plenty of other things. And I just want to say one more thing. When you're in Moab, make sure to talk about the Book Cliffs Highway down there, because that's a big issue down there. And Grand County should not stand behind that Public Lands Initiative anymore.
I'm currently trying to find where it's playing. Do you have that, Deia? Star Hall in Moab. And in Vernal on the 1st, that's 2nd in Moab. In Vernal, why can't I find this? Thank you, Uintah County Library in Vernal. So that's on the 1st in Vernal, on the 2nd in Moab. If you've got friends out that way, send them to us. Because, you know, we're trying to rabble rouse and be in as many of these fights as we possibly can to see if we can connect the dots as we go along. Because everyone, you know, look, I toured with Gaston in 350 cities across America. It took 6 years. The fracking fight's really changed. It's not about fracking fields as much anymore. It's about pipelines and power plants and compressor stations. Everyone we know is fighting a pipeline right now. It's insane. So we have to bring those fights together under one. And 350.org is going to do a lot of work on that, I think, coming in the spring. But we want to start to gather steam right now. And we're going to come tour again, I think, throughout this region in May, late May, June, to try to continue to feed those protests and those actions and those events. More questions? One more. Yes.
So it takes such faith to even start a project like this, let alone sustain it, and then you see moments like where you almost lost your camera in the ocean, or they can confiscate all your film. And I want to know, how do you personally keep going as an activist, but how do you recommend all of us keep going as artists and activists?
How to keep going? Well, I mean, I've been dragged into this. I felt like, you know, I couldn't, when I made Gaston, I felt like I had to go to the next town. And I would show up at a place like Grand Junction or Garfield County, Colorado, and have one contact to do an interview like 8 in the morning. And then that person would say, oh, you gotta meet my friend who has this problem. You gotta, and then by the end of that interview, I have 16 contacts and get done at 2 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, it's still at 2 o'clock in the morning. This film, and then Gasland 2 was all about how the government was, you know, we had a huge explosion of attention on fracking across the nation. We thought we would get action with Obama in the White House. Nothing happened. So why? Well, it's because the whole government system is bought off and doesn't represent you anymore. And then, of course, the last piece of this is the climate change. I mean, when you're working on it. So I feel like this is one story. And to a degree, to have finished this, it's liberating. But of course, now the next piece of this is the campaign. You know, the campaign is so important. To be completely honest, half the time, I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. I don't want to come, oh my God, do I have to go to Winnipeg? You know? But then you get there, and the people that you meet along the way, the energy comes from the movement. It comes from, oh, that person that I talked to that night in the bar after the movie. Or, you know, this family that we got to interview and talk to. You know, so that's what continues to inspire me. When I first had this happen to me, it was the scariest, most lonely moment of my life when I learned the fracking industry was coming up in Delaware River. Now, because I'm a part of this movement, I've got couches to sleep on in 50 states. You know what I mean? And countries. And that's the strength of when you're working on the most important thing on planet Earth, how you can connect, and not just because I'm the guy that made the movie, right? But everybody's in that position. If we're working on these issues, there is a huge community, huge family of humanity that's working on this that welcomes you, and that's what keeps me going. I want to pass that question on to you guys, so for maybe last comment.